Write this down. The word ecclesia, very important. It actually means chosen, appointed, called out ones. It's the Roman government's word for cabinet. It's a political term. Now we get into trouble here. In other words, the church is an organism of humans. The church is the legal agency of God on earth. The church is the administrative arm of God's government on earth. The church is God's diplomatic corps on earth. The church is heaven's earthly senate. The Roman government was the first ones to establish what we call a senate. All other kingdoms before them had no senate. The group that was appointed by Caesar, the Senate, was the most powerful group of people in Rome. Stay awake. Listen to me, please. This is important history here. So the Senate was the most powerful body of humans in the Roman Empire. And the Roman Empire ruled the world for 2,000 years. Dangerous people. And they were continually controlling the whole world. From Africa to England, they ruled the world. Because they had this Senate. The Senate was appointed by the Caesar. Caesar is not a name, it's a title. It refers to son of the gods. Caesar believed he was chosen by the gods to rule the world. And all who had Roman blood were considered superior. Matter of fact, the Greek word they use is Aryan, Ariono. We get the word Aryan race from it. They believed they were superior to everybody else. That's why Jesus Christ and the Jews were considered dogs to the Romans. Dogs. That was the power of Rome. And they ran their government on this group of people that the king chose. They called them, read my lips, ecclesia. Ecclesia was not invented by Jesus. It was invented by the Greeks. Plato and Aristotle were the first ones to invent the word church. Oh boy. You listening to me? The Greeks invented the word church, not Jesus. The Romans invaded the Greeks and overran the Greek Empire. Took over the whole Greek Empire. And the Romans, instead of killing the Greeks and destroying them, they kept their libraries. And the Romans adopted the Greeks' philosophy of government. And therefore the Greeks became the foundation of the Romanic government of the King Caesar, which means that Caesar was the only kingdom on earth that had a kingdom with a democratic mixture at the bottom. And the Greeks invented this word ecclesia. We pronounce church in English. And when Jesus came, he was living in a colony belonging to a kingdom headed by a king named Caesar, and he was under the authority of ecclesia because only kings could appoint ecclesias. You don't vote for ecclesias. They are appointed by the king. I'm talking to you. This is very important. So they are hand chosen by the king. And Rome was the first one to establish ecclesia. Ecclesia was a group of people. I got to demonstrate this so you can see this. Can I have 5 men? Come up here, please. 5 men. 5 men. Handsome men. Come quick. Come, friends. Come. Come, run, guys. Come on, believe in yourself, man. Come on. Believe you're handsome. Okay, I want you to form a circle around me. Leave it here open. Form a circle around me. Just a circle, complete circle around me. Okay, a circle. Come forward. A circle, right. Okay, good. Ecclesia looks like this. Ecclesia was a group of people who the king chose, personally chose them. He sees them and choose them. Their job was to stay with him. They were called Senate. Senate. Senate is the same foundational word in Greek for ecclesia, which is our word for church. Only Caesar had an ecclesia. They ruled the world. Their job was to stay with Caesar to get his mind. So they spent all their time in the courts of Caesar. And he would talk and talk And the more he spoke, their job was to always have a tablet, they call it, and they'd be writing all the time. And they would write what he says and turn it into legislation and make it the law of the Roman Empire. The Senate, therefore, originally was designed by Caesar to turn his intentions into legislation. So they had to stay with him to get his will. Once they get what he willed to happen, they were supposed to make it executional legislative law and then take it to the kingdom of Rome, and they have to live by it, which means that Caesar mentally controlled the whole country through the Senate, the ecclesia. So only kings could have ecclesias. Stay there for it. So Jesus said, now he's about to leave the earth, and he has to make sure he establishes his government again. Remember, he lost it in Genesis 3. So he says, who do men say that I am? Why? Because if I am a prophet, I can't have that.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Hallelujah.
Only a king could have an ecclesia. So when they said, Peter said, thou art the Christ, the anointed king, the Son of God, Jesus says, Peter, you are a pebble. I called you a rock, a little pebble. He said, but upon that statement, that boulder, that massive mountain that you spoke, I will build my ecclesia. He didn't say the ecclesia because there was already one in existence. He had to say mine because Caesar got his. Are you following this? So he is making a political statement, not a religious dogma. He was telling them, I will have the authority to handpick who I want. Oh, I feel like going home now. He says, you don't got to vote them in. I am king. Because if I leave it up to vote, ain't none of y'all gonna make it. Come on, somebody. Y'all so messed up, you ain't gonna make it. He said, but you didn't choose me. Come on, somebody. But I chose you, and I appointed you to bring forth fruit in my government. Tell your neighbor, I'm so glad you don't have to vote for me, because I know you don't like me. Give God a hand for choosing you. He chose us. Hallelujah. He chose us, Mr. MP. Ain't nobody got to vote for you to come into God's kingdom. He already chose you. That's why God could choose a woman like Rahab, who was a prostitute, and make it the lineage of Jesus. That's why God could choose a murderer like Moses and make him the commander of the law. God can choose a stinking shepherd boy like David and make him a king. God can choose a vain town boy sleeping on the floor to change the world. Give God praise. Hallelujah.